up. 209K viewers. Whoa.
Yeah, I
Right.
feel like that's gonna have to be a game I have to stream at some point and get
I
really
might
upset
stream.
at.
I might stream it tomorrow. Put a vote in the chat or put a vote in the fucking Discord.
One thing I am excited for, since I actually have like a good PC now, is that horror game Summer of '58. I don't know if you guys have heard of it before. That is probably hands down the scariest fucking game I've ever played in my life. But the last time I streamed it was on my dog shit PC, and it was basically a slideshow all stream, so I didn't really get to play the game much. So now that I can, I have no excuse to avoid that game anymore. So having a PC now has opened up so many opportunities.
I know.
Yeah.
I think people that are like non-PC based will say like, "Oh, I can't wait till I have a PC," but like not realize when it actually happens, like how diverse it is having a PC.
Mm-hmm.
There's
And how
many
expensive it
options.
is having to buy all of your games again.
Yeah. The conversion.
Just download the Xbox Game Pass, man. It's gonna be okay.
I can't play COD on Game Pass.
Well, that sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, it's a skill
Sounds
issue,
like
to be
you're not
honest.
trying hard. Yeah. Negative skill.
Negative Riz.
Negative Riz -1 role play.
You just go to GameStop. Can I get this on PC? And they're just like skill issue.
Like, skill is shoot minus Riz. Get the fuck out. Social credit point deduction 500.
Also, your credit score is now affected.
Down
Leave
to
me the
600
fuck alone.
points. Get the fuck out. Lucky we didn't put you at a 550.
You fucking show up to GameStop with all your life's collection of video games. They give you a firm handshake and take your credit score.
Give you a firm handshake and spit in your mouth and tell you to get the fuck out of this.
Thanks for the games.
Thank you for the games. And then like that's all you get. This
Man,
wet
that
handshake.
really grabbing it from the bowels of the lungs there.
Yeah. You gotta get all that viscous dust out of their fucking lungs from dusting all those nasty ass consoles. What color is dust to you?
Gray.
Right? Okay. The shade, a color. Dum dum. Failed your first test.
Whatever.
Hey, you gotta be careful. You painted the sky the wrong color. You are the wrong color.
I love that fucking thing. Anyways. Welcome back to Open Absurdity, episode 16. Today we have a very special guest, my uncle, my personal father, aka Feeds. Thank you for coming on the pod. Yes.
No
W streamer, W mans, W ass thrower.
A score?
Throwing it back since
No.
1999.
On God. He be throwing it back ferociously. Ice Spice have a fucking challenger for real.
Yeah. Somebody's got to set the tone.
That's one way of putting it, I guess. Somebody got to set the baseline for all these streamers.
Yeah, someone's gotta do it. It's a dirty job.
But first question of the stream, Jesus. Fuck.
OnlyFans win.
Yeah, actually. When are you? When's that OnlyFans coming? Get the exclusive.
I don't know. Honestly, I just don't. I don't really want to ruin the competition. I feel like if I do that, a lot of people's going to lose some jobs and stuff, and so just out of respect, I'm going to stay off.
Right.
While trying to protect the market.
He's gonna dethrone Markiplier. But the actual first question of the podcast, not the stream, is the same thing we ask every content creator because it's just the baseline to get somewhere. What got you into content creation? What was the road leading up to it? What was the day where you're finally like, yeah, I want to fucking do this.
I think I've been a streamer for a while, like here and there, but I would say like as far as actually like getting myself out there and stuff, probably back when COVID happened. Because when COVID happened, I ended up making just a little bit more money than I was off of my normal paycheck just for like literally like 2 months. And that was when Black Ops 4 was really, really popular at the time. And that's when I started growing myself as a feeder and as a sniper and stuff. And off of COVID, while I was waiting on my PC, I started kind of console streaming. And I literally had this like the PlayStation like webcam that you would have to use that would be on the top of my PC, and it would be in my living room, and like you could see like the kitchen and everything in the back of it. Like it was such a scuffed stream. And then eventually I I got my first PC a few weeks after I started streaming, and I just started to realize, like, man, like, I had a couple people come in my chat, like, obviously on Black Ops 4, I felt like I was doing really, really well. I felt like I was really up to par and competing with a lot of snipers that was posting montages and stuff. And then on top of the skill asset was reaching out to people and seeing all the new people. I would have tons of people come in my stream after like the game that we played, and they're like, yo, like, you have TTV in your fucking clan tag, and we looked you up, and like, you're dope as ever, and watching your content has really changed my day, and I think you're a sick sniper. And it's just like getting into those bridges and crossing them just really changed my perspective, and made me realize being a streamer isn't necessarily having fun on a game. To me, there's a possibility that somebody that's having a rough time or just has questions and doesn't have that friend to DM or go to, I was able to use my stream as like that gateway to kind of be that friend that you never had. And so that's kind of what got me into content creation. That's kind of what molded my mindset and just kind of become that weird uncle factor. Like, everybody says it in like a weird way, but like to me, it's just like some people call me uncle, some people call me a fucking therapist, some people just see me as a wholesome streamer. I mean, I feel like I have a lot of knowledge to give people, so it's always wholesome for me to know that I'm changing, even if it's just their day. Like, even if I just make somebody have a better day, knowing that I change that outcome because of the way that I hold myself in my content, that's my motivation behind streaming.
That's something I actually very much miss in the whole gaming community, because like the toxicity can be funny in COD lobbies, yes, but like I miss those days where you could pop off in a fucking game, and instead of people calling you dog shit or like go touch some grass, they message you being like, yo, you're fucking crazy at the game, like, can we run a few games, or like shit like that. It's just not like that anymore. I don't remember the last time I had somebody message me after a game being like, yo, you're fucking nuts, like what, can we play together, like shit like that. It's just all definitely toxicity now.
Yeah, it's just more prevalent to get hate comments or get hate mail. It's not as prevalent to have someone actually genuinely compliment your gameplay or your style.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm sure, like, I guarantee if you paid some dude for like a few hours to run up some statistics of even like a specific game and see like how often it is to get a GG's in your chat versus a fuck you, you're a trash can in your chat. Like, it's just like, it's so minimal, the amount of wholesome and just the entertainment. And that's the biggest pet peeve I have with gaming. And it's going to kind of always be a thing, is that there's so many people that are, I don't really understand how it can make somebody feel better going into a stream knowing you got shit on, telling the streamer their dog when you just got shit on, and then you also wasted 20 minutes of your time telling them something that's irrelevant and also not really technically true, like statistically, because they just lost their game, and that's the whole reason they're there, is to talk trash. So I don't understand that mindset. I'm a huge person about time management and doing more with your time and more for your content and yourself, and that stuff will just never make sense to me.
Yeah, and I find that a lot of content creators do struggle with the whole time management aspect of both balancing their potential work life and content creation life, and beyond just that, also balancing both generating content not just for one platform but for multiple. And it's kind of hard to really get that balance going. And what would you say, branching off of that, have been some of your either struggles or successes when it comes to balancing your content creation workflow?
I think a huge thing is, it's actually going to be something you probably don't expect, is networking. I know that doesn't make no sense saying it right out, but explaining it a little bit, having that networking and being able to create relationships and friendships with your viewers or some of your friends and people that you play with, start learning how them, like somebody like right off the top of rip, like Frosty TTV, like, love that man. His work ethic is insane. He's got a bit of personal stuff going on, so he's not super active, but somebody like him and Orion and just tons of people that I can name off, watching their work ethic and seeing that they have a tweet every now and then of them struggling, yada yada, but then after the fact of them talking about their situation, they're still posting content, they're still streaming, they're still uploading the TikToks and stuff. And it's like, that's where it kind of made my mindset up to be like, it's not all about me. And I feel like a lot of people are in that mindset, but nobody wants to say it because they feel like they're either being disrespectful or too cocky or something, or just don't want the world to revolve around them, even though they kind of do. And you just kind of have to take a step back and realize, like, it's not all about you. Like, if you wake up the next day and you're having a bad day or something, if you have to force yourself to stream, be like, man, I don't want to stream today, but I told my community I was going to do it. In my opinion, that's a bad mindset to have, because if you're going to stream and give a half-ass stream and be kind of pitiful and mopey the whole stream and stuff, it's not the content that your viewers have followed or subbed for. You're not giving them the same energy that they originally had when they came and found you the other day. So my time management comes a lot from seeing everybody else's issues, and then I clearly have my own issues just like everybody else. And I've been in a big downfall these past couple months. I've been in a lot of financial issues and stuff. I don't care about talking about money. Everybody has money problems and dealing with all that kind of stuff. And I was, I did take a short break, and Envy had seen it. I was gone for just a little over a month, and a month may not seem like nothing, but to me it was everything, because I've been streaming like 2 years consistently, and I was like, in my little goodbye, little cringy video that I made, like I was crying, I was getting emotional, and like there's some people that's going to look at it and be like, oh, boo-hoo, and then there's other people that's going to see that is, that's where you can see that I cared. And that to me is the type of people that I want to be revolved around. If I post a little video of me getting emotional about streaming, if you take that as, oh, Feeds is just being a little, whiny baby or whatever, clearly I'm not the type of people that you need to be around. Or if you take it as, Feeds is really empathetic, he's very upset about a situation, and he can't wait to come back and be who he was, those are the people that I want to surround myself around. So having that time management, knowing that everything that you're going through, it's okay to wake up a few days and say, hey, I don't want to stream. Hey, I don't want to post this TikTok. I'm just not feeling it today. And also setting aside, maybe you stream 5 days a week and you're like, oh, I got no time for content or this or that or whatever. It's like, yes, every day is unpredictable, but instead of streaming 5 days in a row, just stream 4 days in a row and take one day off and dedicate it to content. There's tons of different things you could do, and I feel like this really just applies to either creators that are brand new or creators technically like me that still haven't really got their moment. And there's thousands of people that deserve to have their moment and nobody's got it yet. And that's just kind of the competitiveness of being a streamer, because at the end of the day, it comes to a point where everybody is here to make money, and make money in a sense of being full time, not make money in a sense of I'm rich off of streaming and getting viewers, making money in a sense of I can feed my family and do what I love. And a lot of people take that in a different way. So I think that my biggest advice I would give to somebody that has time management issues would be to make some type of stream schedule and bounce that stream schedule off and figure out your type of workload. And if something changes up, you can do like a weekly stream schedule. You can even do a daily one if you're that motivated. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, if you have a community that is involving and a community that wants to watch you the next day, your community is going to care about seeing the next time you're live. If you get upset because so-and-so hasn't been in your chat, but the last time you seen him, he was so hype and so happy to see you stream, that is technically your fault. Unless if that viewer is going through something, if you are not promoting and branching and networking yourself and saying when you're going to be live and when you're going to be doing these things and posting your content and stuff, your community that you are building does not know, and you can't deem that being their fault that they're not showing up. And plus, obviously, if you're upset that somebody's not showing up in your stream, you're kind of streaming for the wrong reasons anyways. So just a lot of people need to take a step back and kind of realize their environment, think about what they're wanting to do. Are you wanting to be full-time? Are you wanting to post more TikToks? Are you wanting to make more YouTube videos? Do you just want to stream? You can just be a straight streamer and no clips or no nothing. You can grow off of every way, but the very first thing you have to do is take a step back and understand what kind of creator you want to be.
Yeah. I gotta agree. Yeah.
Kind of backtracking a little bit. I want to touch on the you taking a break thing, because I kind of knew it was coming at a point, because we were talking before you made that announcement, and I just wanted to ask the question of, I mean, if you're not comfortable with answering this, that's perfectly okay. But in that time that you were away from streaming and content creation, what was that like? Like, what were you doing for yourself? What was the transition from being a constant content creator to taking that break?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about talking about it. Just like I said earlier, everybody has money issues and stuff, and most of the time, unless if it's some type of family matter, most of the reason why people take breaks is because of money issues. And that's something, in my personal opinion, that needs to be normalized, because everybody's so afraid of talking about money when that's what the whole world revolves around. And so for me, when I had to make that video and stuff, it was very hard. I think I recorded that specific little like minute clip of me talking probably like 30 times because I kept choking up. I kept messing up my words. I kept saying things that I didn't really specifically want to say because I didn't want to get nothing taken out of context. And it was hard. And so after doing that, goodbye for that short time, and it got a lot of love, and I'm, very thankful for all my friends that checked up on me and showed me love and stuff. But during that time, I had to pick up a lot of shifts. I had to sell some things that I didn't want to sell. I had to work some shifts and stuff and do things that I didn't want to do and try to build back to where, having that having that time management to be a streamer is dedicated off of my workload. And so if I had a stream schedule of 4 hours every single day for 7 days, which is what I usually did, I would stream about, I think, 7 o'clock Eastern time, and I would do that up until like 12 or 1 for 7 days in a row, and maybe I would take off like a Sunday here and there. I would be consistent as ever right before I took my break. And it sucked because, yes, I could have technically pushed it back, but my main and obvious reason to your question is, like I said, with money issues and stuff, me streaming for that amount of time took up hours that I could have been making, money at my job and stuff. So I had to pick up extra shifts and stuff, and just kind of for like 4 straight weeks, I was just upset and depressed. Like I had nowhere to do. I had nowhere to go. Like had bills stacking up, trying to get things figured out. And I was just in my own head of like, I was at a really low point in my life trying to figure out what I'm going to do, how I'm going to get out of this hole. And for that 4 weeks, I lived off of like basically nothing, like water and crackers and stuff, and just little small things, and just trying to figure out how it got so bad. But after, getting out of that hole and everything, it was just kind of building up my money and getting myself back up to where I wanted to be, to where I can now kind of have a decent stream schedule now, which is definitely not as much as I wanted it to be, because I'm still kind of struggling with the aftermath of everything. But at the same time, I mean, it's definitely better. But it was tough. But being from a creator, it was kind of like, it was like the realization for every streamer that like until you're full time, until you're full time, it's for fun. And it's like, it's corny and cringy to say it, and like a lot of people laugh at it, but it's like wholesomely, it's true. Like when you're streaming and you're playing, that is free time that you may or may not deserve, and if you take it for granted, that's your fault. And technically, to an extent, I did take a little bit of my time for granted, and that is what slightly put me in that situation, which I was kind of be there anyways. But just like everything else, there's many things that you could do to change whatever situation you're in. But that's just a big thing that a lot of people take for granted, is they'll stream and they'll post their TikToks and have so much fun, and then they'll forget about what's going on in the real world, and then it just hits them all of a sudden. And that's exactly what happened to me, and that was my fault, and I had to bite my tongue and get through it.
Yeah, and that's definitely a struggle I think many content creators can relate to. And I remember coming to that harsh realization not long ago, hence why I took such a long hiatus from my own content creation path when it came to streaming. But it is one that I guess in a way is kind of a double-edged sword. It's a bit humbling, and it helps you put everything into perspective, whereas sometimes it might have been a little out of focus, so to speak. And with that said, I do see. So, do you personally enjoy the podcast that you have recently started up, and what are some maybe other avenues of content creation you plan on pursuing going forward?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I've started my own podcast. It's called Feeds Mindset, and it's basically the same thing. I'd have slightly different questions than this one, but it's mainly focused around whoever the guest is, and just highlighting them. And like, yes, like if I grow as a brand or whatever, or if their community watches and it helps build up the podcast and stuff, that's great. But I want the sole focus to be on that person, because I'm taking away their time and they're giving me their time. And so I don't want to be disrespectful in any way. So definitely I have a lot of plans and a lot of people that I want to feature on that podcast and stuff. And as far as like in terms of like content and stuff, aside from my podcast, like, I mean, I'm really big back into Rust. I have the game Rust. I have like over 2,000 hours in that game.
Damn.
But the issue
Whoa.
that I had with it is like the last like 700 hours that I have into the game is all solo because I can never find anybody. And Rust is a very very toxic game. And so
I've seen the TikToks.
when you meet somebody that's new, there's like a 60-70% chance that they're just going to inside you, meaning that once they're in your base and get everything and get the codes, they're just going to change all the codes and kill you and take your base over. And
Whoa.
so it's a very indifferent community, but at a skillful level, like I'm able to get a lot of good kills and do raids and stuff like that, and it's fun for me. But just like any game, when you're solo for so long, it just gets really annoying and hiatus. And so for me, I'm kind of my main revolvement is around my own podcast right now. I still stream like I was just streaming a little bit ago. I'll either do Rust, I'll do Valorant, or I'll just find some oddball game. I
Mhm.
don't have like specific plans as far as like content and gaming right now.
Yeah.
I'm more just focused on the feeds and mindset. And I think and everybody, and I don't want anybody to take this like offensive to their own content or anything, but me personally, like I tried for like 2 years to show people that I'm one of the best and that I can do it and I can compare to all these top guys, and that didn't get me anywheres. And so I'm just taking a step back and realizing I didn't necessarily waste all that time. I made a lot of good friends. I mean, even somebody like Envy, obviously, made a lot of great friends that I love and cherish, and I'm very glad to meet. But now that I kind of I kind of pulled myself out of the situation we was just talking about, just a lot of things came to light. I took my break, very upset. When I got off my break, I realized my world is very different and I need to change because where I want to get to, what I'm doing currently isn't making it. And around that time, that's when Kick had the transition. So I went over to Kick. Around that time, I figured out my podcast. I talked about my podcast for months and months. It wasn't anybody specific that just made me be like, oh, I want a podcast. Like I talked about it for months. I just couldn't build the nerve to actually do it. I was so scared and afraid and how it was going to go and what questions I was going to ask. I didn't want to get choked up, and I didn't have an editor, and I wanted to try to do one takes, just all these different things. And so in a way, even though it really hurt taking that break and all these kind of things, now my main focus is what is the best way that I can grow as a streamer and as a brand, but also do what I've always wanted to do, which is highlight other people and give them their moment. And so that's kind of how I've transitioned into trying to be the backpack to now trying to be the one who listens.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's really noble and awesome.
Your bounce back from that long break is very admirable, honestly. Just with how you're able to seamlessly kind of wedge yourself right back into where you left off without any real hiccups, at least not that I've seen. Maybe there's some behind the scenes that I don't know about, but from the outside perspective, from a viewer's perspective, your bounce back is something to definitely awe about, because you came back instantly, was consistently with streaming again. You've been letting loose of content, which is also great. The podcast, which is very good, might I say. Like for somebody who's just like 2 episodes in, you're already and doing it by yourself. Like it's because a lot of people think that this whole podcasting gig is just easy, but to a degree it's really not. Like you have to think of something
Content.
to talk about for
Yeah.
a straight hour, like without any dead space or ums and ands and shit like that. Like it's not as easy as people think, but once you get that flow down, podcasts are a lot of fun. Like we went through that same thing starting this one. Yeah, there's been like I had a completely different group before Adam.
Very true.
I had my 2 IRL best friends as my co-host, and then one of them left, and then the other one left, and now it's just me and Adam. But, it's adversity. You just gotta adapt to it.
Life moves on.
Yeah.
And I mean that's
but
that's the same thing like with me. I mean there's no telling, I may pick up another, co on my side or whatever, but like right now, like I'm just kind of I'm very happy with how everything is currently. I mean, like you said, I'm only 2 episodes in and stuff, and there may be things that I change like in the future and stuff. But for right now, like my main goal is just the hardest thing is figuring out the questions and stuff and trying to. I'm doing my best to dedicate my podcast as being a one take and I can just upload it. And as easy as that sounds, it's obviously very difficult. And I do feel like personally with my qualities as a streamer and just being me in general, I feel like that definitely helps sugarcoats, the potential of hiccups and mess ups and stuff. And if I have to go back and edit and all that stuff, that's perfectly fine. I do one takes. With the honest answer is because I'm lazy. I don't have the best time management. And if I can somehow be professional for a straight 30, 40 minutes and not have to edit it, and if I feel like my own content is enough to where like I wouldn't lose interest or anything, then I won't edit it. If I end up doing a podcast and there's like a hiccup moment or somebody has to step away or just a awkward silence moment or something, then that's different. I'll edit it, whatever. But the honest reason is that I am lazy because I would rather do one takes and be as professional and on top of it as I can. And in my opinion, I'm not really looking for the credibility. I'm doing that more so that I can stay focused because doing podcasts and stuff, I mean, you obviously have a little bit more experience than me, but obviously both of us together have the tiniest experience to many, many other podcasts out there. And so to me, that's where my credibility is because some people may take it as, oh, Feed's lazy, he just don't want to edit it. I take it as if I can stay serious and locked in for 30 and 40 minutes, that is how I know that I'm giving the guest all of my attention and what I can offer them. And that's just the way that I filter it to make it make sense to me to where I know when that guest comes on, it's a completely different experience when they log off and when we say goodbye and in the video.
Yeah, it's a level of sincerity and knowing that you're giving that guest your undivided attention and your time and energy, just as they're making time in their day and their busy schedules for you and for your content. So it definitely shows throughout your content. It shows throughout those videos. It shows throughout the podcast that you're not just doing this as an avenue for some form of escapism or an easy way out, so to speak. You're doing this because you're passionate about it, and that obviously comes through in the final product.
Yeah, your showmanship when it comes to the podcast is honestly something that you should be very proud of yourself for, and how, I don't want to say easy it has come to you, but how you're able to just automatically be able to hold a viewer's attention for a long length of time like that. Like that took me, at least personally, with this podcast, probably like 3 or 4 episodes before I was able to be comfortable and be able to have these long conversations and shit while it's being recorded. Like, your ability to just be able to do that already and to grow from there is it's fascinating, low key. Like I'm wondering how the hell. Like
Yeah,
How
I mean,
do your brain work?
I'm definitely not like ego about it. Like I know, I'm very blessed. I'm glad that the podcasts are going well, and I am glad about myself. I am proud to a certain extent that I can be able to do these things. I know it's not easy. I mean, I can backtrack to everything we just talked about and say, if old feeds would have done what I'm doing now, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. But now that I have a different mindset and everything, that's kind of the whole background behind Feed's mindset. That's why I named that's why I named the podcast Feed's Mindset, because it just makes sense now. Because if I can sit here and devote my time to somebody streaming, or just whoever the guest is, and like my goal for any podcast, I don't even care if this is like 3 or 4 years later and I'm rich and I'm super famous. I don't care. Like, my goal every single video is to make sure at least one person that listened, something in that changed them and made them have a difference in their time management. Maybe it just had them better day. Maybe they've had like family passings or something and they're just through a rough time, and being able to use my content as a gateway to feeling better and just forgetting about things. That's what my whole streaming life has been. I've dedicated that so much, and I work so hard on building those relationships with my viewers and letting them know that I care. And in the streaming world, it's so hard because everybody says the same thing. So I have to formulate my responses in a way to where it's genuine rather than sounds like it's scripted. And so it is very difficult.
And it's sad because, again, in a world where there are such large content creators on platforms like Twitch, like Kick, it's very easy to see how someone could become detached from their audience and give very quick one-word replies and, you know, one-word answers to, like, and these are questions that come in from typically from VIP viewers who have been there since the dawn of that creator's, you know, existence or their experience. And it's sad, and it's nice to see a creator such as yourself wanting to still keep that closeness and keep that bond with their viewers. Even though, yes, like you said, 3-4 years down the line, that may become more difficult, as I guess some would say it's inevitable to, you know, for that to happen. But I think, as you put it, with the right amount of effort and the right amount of attention put in, it doesn't have to be inevitable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I've said it on my podcast too, like the whole corny saying of you are your own limit. And it's just, again, it's like those little things get kind of slept on and people laugh at it and be like, hey, you are your own limit, and start like mocking you. But like in a sense, like it's true. Like if you're about it, then you'll listen. If you're not about it, then you'll make fun of it and call me a clown and go on about your day. And guess what? I took up 5 minutes of your time of me calling you a clown, and that's 5 minutes you could have dedicated figuring out how to better yourself. So it's just like, that's the way that I take it, and that is the only time that I'll ever have an ego in general, is when somebody is clowning me, when I know that the time frame that they gave me to try to bully me ended up being they get nothing from it, I feel no different, and they just wasted their time. And that makes me feel better too, because either A, I can make you feel better and take up your time and make you have a good day, or B, you hate me and you waste your time and I still make you have a good day. So it doesn't change the fact. So
take my love, bitch.
I do understand that what I'm doing is making a small change. And obviously, you know, just like every new channel and new video and stuff, like obviously the views aren't doing too well or anything, but I mean, just off of the 2 episodes alone, I think they're like 2 weeks in between, because I had a bit of a hiccup in my scheduling and some people that I wanted to try to guest on the podcast. And between 2 videos, you know, on the YouTube stats and stuff, it'll tell you how much collective watch time that people have watched your videos. Meaning, for anybody that is not YouTube privy, that is a substantial collective amount of time of how many people have watched a duration of your video and not clicked off, not picked up, not watched 10 minutes there, 20 minutes there. And out of 2 videos, I have 8 hours in total. And
that's a lot of active viewership.
Seeing that, it's like I see that my views are low, and I know that I'm still growing and everything, and I'm not in like a cocky way, but it is very humbling for me to know that 2 videos that average about an hour and a half, as small as a channel and streamer and creator that I am, it got 8 hours. That is, you know, 5 times the amount of both of them put together. And that's what makes me happy, because I can see statistically that I'm making a difference. Even if the views and the likes aren't showing it, clearly people are watching for long enough, so something has to be interesting to them.
Yeah, you're doing something right. And I think as a creator, that's very, very reassuring. And it's something that I think a lot of creators need. You know, you need that reassurance, and you need that solace in knowing that you're doing something right. And statistics like that definitely can help. And what are some things, if you do have any bits of advice for a creator who maybe isn't seeing those numbers or isn't pleased with the numbers they're seeing, in terms of how to better cope with that and how to better move on and move forward with their content creation regardless of said numbers?
Yeah, so I mean, the way that I would personally take it, and I have done this in the past, I've reflected and switched up my own content. If you are posting for months and months and months, and you're like, man, like I'm averaging 2 viewers per stream, like my clips are getting like 100 views at best, and I'm getting like 5 or 6 likes on Twitter. Watch your own clips back. Don't just post them and upload them and throw them in all your fucking plug chats and stuff. Actually watch yourself back and pretend that you don't know who you are. You don't know what background you came from. You don't know why you got into streaming. You don't know why you're so skilled at the game that you play. Pretend that you're a nobody and know nothing about yourself. Watch yourself back for that time period, however long it is it interesting? And you have two options. A, obviously, if it's not interesting, you got to change something up. That's not saying that you're not an interesting person. That's saying that you are focused on the wrong things. That's saying that you are not understanding the environment that you're in. And if you're, going backtrack to our old conversation, if you're going live every day and you're giving half-ass content and you're getting pissed every time that you die and somebody new pops in your chat and you're like, oh, hey man, what's going on? Clearly there's an issue. And if you're not realizing that, that's your fault. And all that time that you're spending and not getting your goals and your small reinsurance, whatever the fuck that word is, if you're not getting that, then clearly there's something wrong. And if you're not seeing that there's something wrong, then that's your problem, and that's a learning process that you have to go through. Now, B, obviously, if you watch yourself back, just like me, I watch myself back. I think my content is great. When I popped off on MW2, I'm dropping fucking quad feeds and ranked and shit, and I ain't seeing nobody do this. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, like, I'm competing in the most respectful way. I feel like I am like at BAM's content and stuff. I feel like I am a very skilled player. I feel like I have the energy when I hit my clips, and I'm doing things, especially in ranked and even in some sniping tournaments and stuff, that people aren't doing. And that made me very sad as a creator, knowing that my skill level and my time that I'm, managing and dedicating to stream to hit my goals aren't paying off. And it's just the sad reality of when I was doing really well and MW2 started popping off. For me personally, I was zoned out that the game was kind of dying. Obviously, it's going to be alive for a while, but in terms of content and stuff, aside from certain creators like BAMs and many other people, like aside from certain creators that are already established, if you are not established on a game and the game starts dying and you don't realize it, then that is very notable and easy. And that's kind of the realization that I had with my whole switch up between, being a COD sniper for years. I mean, that's where I got my name from, is being feeds, because I like sniping and I like seeing my name in the kill feed. And I liked when I was in search and rescue on COD Ghost back in 2013, and people would say that I'm insane and how the fuck do you do that? That is how the name feeds became a thing, and it started to not be that anymore. Every time that I would go in MW2 and I would play a ranked game, I would be dropping like 60 and 70 on hardpoint. I'd be like close to 20 on search and destroy against like diamond level players. And nobody was saying anything. People was calling me shitters. People were saying that I'm trash. Some people said that I'm hacking. And it's just, I started to realize that it wasn't there for me. So I was happy with my own content, but I understand at a viewership perspective, I wasn't getting to the goals where I wanted to be. So I had to bite my tongue, even though I loved playing Call of Duty, because my end goal is to be a streamer and create content full time. I had to change up. And many people is going to be completely different. Some people just literally want to stream and play and have fun. And that's perfectly fine. You don't have to switch up anything. If you are upset with how your viewership and all that kind of stuff's going, but you're also having genuine fun at the game, if you don't have a specific goal of I want to do this full time, like if you're literally just playing just to play, then why are you upset about your viewership? It logically makes no sense. If you're just vibing and don't care about your future as a creator, then why does it matter how many people are in your stream? So that would be the difference that I would say, is if you're just vibing, just here to game, that should never be a question, and it would be confusing to me to argue that you're upset with viewership when you don't even care about viewership. That just doesn't make sense. Versus people like me that are doing really well, I'm happy with my content, but other people I just can't seem to get out to, and so I just decided to switch it up. And just like I said before, my whole demeanor being content creator and streamer is changing people's lives and making them feel better, and so that's how I got Feed's mindset. And you just have to spitball and think about things that you do. Think about maybe old games that are popping right now and doing really good viewership wise that maybe you play well in or have a lot of knowledge about. If you're super good at Valorant, do some like Valorant little videos about, if you're in bronze and stuck and can't get to silver, do these things, like do little videos like that and create content in a different way. And if your argument is, oh, I don't think it's going to do well or whatever, then I don't know what to say. Stay stuck where you are and keep complaining that nothing changes, because you're not the one that's going to change it. And ultimately, that's kind of my final answer that I would give you, Dev, is that if you are not willing to change the circumstance that you're in, but complaining about the circumstance you're in, it just doesn't make no sense, and you won't grow as a creator, and you'll continue to be upset if you do not make that change, and nobody's going to do it for you.
And I believe that's a very, very both inspiring and very clear and concise sort of bit of advice to give to any both budding creator and even some creators that may have found themselves falling into a bit of a rut when it comes to their content.
I mean,
So what do you think, Envy?
that's a whole nother thing when it comes to this whole content creation world, because like another bit of advice would be just don't be so focused on the numbers, you know? Like, yeah, obviously we all want big numbers on the content that we're making because it's time out of our day that we've spent creating it for people to enjoy, but whether you have one viewer on your streams or a fucking thousand, like you still have a viewer. Like you still have a supporter. You still have a follower. Like you can't really get caught too deep into all the statistics and shit, because all that's gonna do is just bring you down and make you suffer the motivation that you need in order to grow the way you want to, which is easier said than done. I'm sure everybody who's tried content creation has fallen into that slump at least once.
Yeah.
I know I fucking have.
Yeah, it's almost somewhat of a downward spiral, and it's easy to get swept up into that. And it's scary in a way, but it's also one of those things that I guess is a bit of a hurdle that almost every content creator, whether unless of course you are very, very lucky and you get dealt the perfect hand, and even then, I think even those golden content creators that get famous overnight still at some point will eventually hit that rut where they maybe feel like they're not doing enough, or they aren't enough, or they could be doing something different, or they're not hitting the numbers that they want to hit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I would, personally, my biggest advice and the harsh hitting reality for anybody that has viewer issues or stream issues, and I've been at it for so long, and so has so many people in your chat, and I just feel like I'm so much better. Blah, 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 blah. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, at the end of the day, when you are streaming and you start that stream with 0 viewers and you end at 1, 2, 3, however many it is, if your personality is slowly changing at the end of that stream, and you are happy when you start the stream and you are not happy when you end the stream, and nothing has changed, like your IRL world, like no like text that made you sad, no can you come into work, like you just genuinely, you hit start stream and you hit end stream, and all that changed in between is you're just streaming. And if you are upset and you are happy when you started and you're upset when you're after, you are in it for the wrong reasons, and you need to take a break and stop streaming. And that is a harsh reality. So many people want to hear that, but they don't want to hear that. And today, if you are one of those people, you need to hear that. It is okay to take breaks. It is okay to be emotional. It is okay to say that your situation sucks. And you need to understand that if you are not happy as a creator, why would you want somebody new to see you as a creator and start checking up on you normally if you cannot give them 100%? And that's what my stream was all about, and that's why I stopped streaming, because I did still have a little bit of time management to stream when I was on my break, but it was pointless. Why would I do a half-ass stream, have a new viewer that's never met me, knows nothing about me, and they get a half-assed feeds, and next thing you know, that gives me the possibility to never see that person again. Yeah. And if I would have just been happy and just been sane and not be a dick or mopey or whatever, I could have kept them and maybe changed their day. Maybe they was one of the people that was going through something, and maybe I was the last person they talked to before they deleted Twitch or whatever. It's like you don't know what impact that you can make. So you always have to make the most of it. And when you start stream, you are starting stream for the people. You are not starting it for yourself.
And that's fucking amen. And those are some very, very powerful,
Preach, brethren.
Powerful,
Preach.
Powerful ass words. And I definitely can say there's nothing more rewarding than, both making a bond with your chat, making a bond with your community. And I'm still flabbergasted even to this day that there were people that cared about watching some bearded nerd play video games and fuck around, you know what I mean? And both be horrible but slowly get better over time, while all the while doing it together as a community. It is both mind-boggling but so humbling, and to know, like you said, that you can have that impact on someone's life. You can make someone's day just a little bit better, and at the very least be a little distraction for them while they're going through whatever they're going through, right? And I do hope to extend this to our viewers, that we are that for those listeners out there that are listening to this podcast, wherever you might be listening to it on. I do hope that this might be some nice little departure for you, and that you find some solace in this podcast. And it might be open absurdity, but I hope you enjoy that absurdity.
We are
definitely. I mean, I'm the same way. It's like, if you are, me being on this podcast. Also, I don't know if I said it, but thank you so much for having me on, of course. But for anybody that is watching that doesn't know me, or maybe this is the first time you've seen Open Absurdity, whatever the case may be, if you are listening to everything that I say right now, and the one thing you heard was me say "shut the fuck up," that's because I'm passionate. That's because it annoys the fuck out of me when people say that they want to succeed, but they don't want to change up anything that they're doing, and they still just want to succeed. Because I want my friends and everybody that supports me to be in it for the right reasons. And so when I see somebody like that that's upset and complaining about their situation, but not changing their situation or reaching out to their friends for advice and stuff, even if you may not want to. Some people's like, oh, I don't want no help. And it's like, well, then either figure out your own ways or bite your tongue and do what you don't want to do. Because at the end of the day, we all need friends. Everybody needs help. And everybody's going to go through some type of struggle, whether it's content, whether it's IRL, whatever the case may be. So in some senses, some things that I could say may be a little bit harsh, but if I'm ever harsh, which if you don't know me, obviously I can't really explain it, but to anybody that does know me, anytime that I'm ever harsh or a bit hard on a topic, that's just because I'm passionate about it and I want the best for everybody. So I just wanted to clarify that just in case, because I just want everybody to succeed.
Beats is not an asshole, people. He's not a dick.
Yeah.
If you again bringing it back, if you saw how he shakes ass, you would know he's not an asshole.
You'd know.
Okay.
Yeah, you would not click away.
On God. On God.
No one can be that thick and have corrupt morals. It's just not possible.
His brain is definitely in the wrong place. I don't believe it.
I definitely think we need to add a clip of him throwing it back.
Oh, dude.
We need to. It's mandatory.
Like a GIF or GIF or whatever, however people want to
It's just flickering on the screen like a DVD title.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Throwing it back and hitting each corner as you do.
And the whole time they're just watching the podcast, not even listening. They're just like, oh, and then it hits the corner. And they're like, oh.
But moving from this topic, I see you're on Kick now. How has that transition from Twitch to Kick been? Because I personally, as you probably have seen on the timeline, am going to be switching to Kick, and already having fucking problems. Like, nobody can follow my account for some reason, and I'm assuming it's because I haven't streamed yet. I don't know how Kick works. But
yeah, I mean, there's definitely some bugs. I mean, I can't really I'm not going to credit or discredit Kick at all. I mean, there's bugs. They're a new streaming platform. Like, I'm sure Twitch had the same issues. But, I mean, I've kind of, and not to you, like, even just, like, normal viewers, I get that a lot. People's like, why are you on Kick? Why are you not on Twitch or whatever? And me and Leif in our podcast that we had, we didn't actually talk about it on the podcast. We talked about it a bit off because there's some personal things and stuff. But overall, it kind of depends on your community, because there's a lot of people right now that don't want to switch to Kick because of some people that specifically are on Kick. And if you have a community that is telling you that they just don't support it, it comes to you as a streamer to be like, what is best for your intentions and the community that you want to keep around. So you not going to Kick because of your community, like if someone bags on you like that or whatever, that just makes no sense, because your stream is your content. And if you choose to stay on Twitch and somebody gets mad at that, then clearly they're not the type of people that you need to surround yourself with. If they're upset because, if I said, Envy, come to Kick, and Envy's like, no, I'm going to stay on Twitch. And if I be like, why? What the fuck? That's such a dumb move. Like, instantly I am a bad friend, because why? Why would that be normalized? But I get it. I get it a ton. A lot of people be like, how do you feel like on Twitch and Kick? And yeah, like there's some, viewership issues and all this kind of stuff. But I do think, at least for right now, they have genuine intentions. Obviously, the most big topic is money, which I ain't really going to talk on because I don't really care about it for right now. But that is a topic for a lot of streamers, especially the ones that are already established, of course. But my big thing is, to simplify it, to dumb it down, let's say if I was on Twitch, I would do 7 straight days of Rust. Every day I'd wake up at a certain time when I get off work, play a game of Rust for like 3-4 hours or whatever, and I guarantee you I've seen 1, if not maybe 2 new people I've ever met in that week. When I did it on Kick, just today alone, I had 6 different people come and say hi, say, you know, oh, they don't know nothing about Rust, or maybe they do, and they're like trying to give me advice or tips on things I already know. And it's new connections that I've never had. And the whole I'm not switching over to Kick because I don't want to lose what I built on Twitch will just never make sense to me. Because why would you choose to not switch to a platform and try it out that's not justified yet, when all the worst that can happen is it just doesn't work out and you move back to Twitch? Like, if you are not seeing the growth that you're wanting to see on Twitch and you are wanting to be a full-time streamer, it makes the most logic sense to try out Kick and try it out and see what happens. And that's the thing that is a big pet peeve of mine, is there's a lot of people that's like, I'm not switching over to Kick because I just don't know about it yet. And it's like, when you finally know about it, it's going to be too late. And then it's going to be really hard to get new people in your chat because everybody has found their streamers and people that they want to watch. And then a month or two later, you're going to switch to Kick and be like, hey guys, come holler at me on Kick. And then you're going to start complaining that nobody's showing up to your chat. No, Kick is the same as Twitch. It's always the same. I'm never going to grow, never going to get any worse. And it's because you were too late. You have to try out things and have to get on the wagon, you know, ride the bandwagon while it's new and try things out that maybe you're not so sure about. But if you never tried it out, you wouldn't know it. Same thing applies to in real life. Same thing applies to jobs. You can work a job. Maybe you was happy there and you never knew it. Maybe you try out a different food and you thought that food was good and you never would have knew it. The same rule applies to everywhere. So if you don't try something out that you're unsure about, but you know it's not going to cause a bad or negative impact on you, then what is stopping you from trying that out? So I definitely think, in my personal opinion right now, I think Kick is a good platform to start out. I would never say that they're better than Twitch right out. They've got a long way to go, many updates to do, and just a lot of establishment that they have to get. But I do think that it has a good start. I think that they have a good bang, you know, to start everything out. And I do see a lot more new people that I'm not used to seeing on Twitch and stuff. And that isn't like bagging to Twitch. That's just like, if I was still streaming on Twitch, those people I would have never encountered. And that's really the only way that I can kind of justify it, because just like I've said about my podcast and about me as a streamer, I dedicate every time that I stream, I do my absolute best. The moment I see somebody new in my chat, I try to build that relationship. And if I'm streaming on Twitch for a whole week and I have 2 or 3 chances to do that for 7 days, and then you give me 1 day and I have 6 chances at that, I'm passionate about it. There's nothing else I can say. Yeah. You can say it's corny, you can say it's dumb. That's just the way that I take it, is that is more chances I have to reach out to people, change their lives, and be the streamer that they've not seen. And I'm going to pick that any day over Twitch and seeing nobody and having nothing. It just makes more sense to have more opportunity in a non-monetary value aside. Just talking to people in general, it just makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I definitely, one moment.
And at the rate that fucking Kick is going, or Twitch is going, it won't be too hard for Kick to like really capitalize and take over and maybe even monopolize this streaming like space, because Twitch is, Twitch has been off one lately with their updates and shit. But I mean, and Kick is already kind of doing that. Like you gotta give respect where respect is due, like regardless of how you feel about Kick and the history with it already. Like their marketing, their strategies, how they're doing what they need to do to grow their platform, it's honestly impressive. Like I don't think we've even seen a company do what Kick is doing before.
Yeah, we've seen I mean, we've always seen budding like streaming platforms. We've seen Mixer, we saw Facebook Gaming, we saw the disaster that Mixer was, and it's I can see how that would instill fear in a lot of content creators, because again, everyone's afraid of, oh well, I don't want to lose what I built. But then again, those same people go and complain and say, oh man, I wish I was like, Soda Poppin', or I wish I was like all these big streamers that started out on Twitch when Twitch was just in its infancy as a brand new streaming platform. When right now, here's this opportunity present to everyone to get on board and get on that bandwagon and try it out. And if it crashes and burns, well, guess what? It wasn't like you signed a multi-million-dollar contract. All you had to do was hit the live button. You know what I mean? And it sounds stupid, but it's true.
And
that's why I plan on,
That's
Like
so
I'm not
true.
planning on doing anything crazy, but I'm thinking of maybe dual streaming. Hopefully,
Yeah,
that's my
definitely.
strategy with
And
it.
I
But
think
That's
the
another.
biggest the biggest correlation that I could give in my own personal way, because I don't want this to be like revolving around all the shit that Twitch has done and all the cool things that Kick is doing. Like the only comparison that I would give is Twitch to me right now is Call of Duty. Tons of terrible updates, tons of not listening to the people, tons of doing whatever the fuck they want to do, tons of raising prices on bundles that are not worth the price.
And
And
money,
then
money,
Kick
money,
to me
money, money.
personally is like Rust. It's a game that's fair. Everybody can play it, everybody can vibe, and nobody is better than anybody. And that's just the way that I compare it because everything that Twitch is doing right now is clearly all for money, and they don't care at all who leaves their platform. They care about what they have built as a corporation, and they're just Twitch's headquarters, and Kick
yeah,
is a community. And that's the best way that I could compare it
Yeah.
at this very second. Again, I know that is a little bit rough, and there are going to be a lot of offensive people that are going to take offense to that are on Kick right now. If you do, I'm sorry. That's just the way that I feel. I know that Kick still has a lot to grow, but Kick is like the party you want to go to, and Twitch is just kind of like the after school, fucking side
Hanging
shit
out
that
at
you
your
have
Dance,
to
uncle's
yeah.
do.
house, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's again, it's a budding community, it's a budding platform. There are risks associated with it, but it's like they say, high risk, high reward, and realistically, the risk is very minimal, and all it takes is just giving it a shot.
I mean, I obviously still have like my questions and like my head scratching things when it comes to Kick. Like their 95-5 split and
Yeah.
them being able to
Oh,
pay
they're operating at a
streamers 16
loss.
an hour. Like, dude, how? Because Kick was made by streamers, by content creators.
And well, also
Like,
backed, but also not. It's a lot of politics. It's like backed, but not backed by a gambling platform that's like funded by a bunch of Saudi Arabian oil lords. There's a whole series of videos people have done trying to like justify and explain how they have all the money for like $100 million
yeah.
contract featuring
Yeah, I think
exclusivity.
if you dive into like the history of Kick, then it's going to get very confusing and scary. But if
Oh
you
yeah.
just like stay in your lane and just kind of like enjoy the ride, then everything will be
Yeah,
fine.
just fucking. I mean, yeah, it's like I don't know. I plan on
It's
dual streaming. I know people are going to be conflicted about that, but man, you got to do what you want to do in the end of the day, and
Hmm.
don't let
yeah.
anyone tell you otherwise.
That's one of the main reasons why I'm interested in switching to Kick because Twitch, amongst one of those many bad updates, have made it to where they simply do not allow multi-platform streaming, and that's something that I've kind of wanted to give a shot. Like once my TikTok is a bit higher and I can stream on there, YouTube I'm pretty sure already stream on. Like why not? Like there's no reason not to. If you're going to stream, you might as well stream on any platform that you can. And to
Yeah.
be able to do it all at once is like a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is kind of crazy, and I think it all resorts back to the kind of creator you want to be. If you're a creator that's wanting to do this full time, that's serious, and thinks that gaming can be the next career path for you, then you have to understand your options. You have to understand what you can and can't do. And in my personal opinion, again, everybody that wants to stay on Twitch and has their own opinions, that is perfectly fine, and you're validated and you're okay to feel that way and have those opinions. But my specific opinion is just that Twitch, with all their updates and everything, they're limiting you as a streamer and growing the career path that you are trying to build. So to me, that's why it was a no-brainer to switch. And also with the whole multi-streaming, which I did technically do when I was on Kick, or on Twitch. But I mean, I may do like more in the future on like Facebook and TikTok and all that stuff. But for now, I'm just kind of chilling on Kick, and that is kind of my own downfall. Like that's me being lazy because I know I can outreach to more, but everybody just kind of has their own path, and you just do whatever you're okay with. But at the end of the day, what matters is what intentions you have and what goals you have. And if you are listening to this podcast and you're like, I don't have any goals or anything, then I don't know, what advice that I can give you other than sit down and try to understand who you want to be and what kind of impact you want to have. And until you figure that out, everything that we've talked about is irrelevant if you don't even know where you want to go.
You have to at the end of the day just take that leap of faith. Like that's all any and basically everything important in our lives, that's all it really takes is a leap of faith. Like a lot of people are stop themselves or get in their own head, thinking about all the negatives and all the possible downfalls of something new in their life that could be life changing and for the better. But they'll never know if they get into their head too much and decide not to take that leap. It can be scary, yeah, but what do you really have to lose in most situations? Like, not much. There's no real, like, devastating downside if you just take that jump. And don't get crazy. I'm not saying go to a bridge or anything, okay? Don't take that analogy and fucking skyrocket with it. I'm saying motivation right now. Positive motivation.
You're just on the side of a bridge, huh?
Listening to the podcast right now, sitting on a rail. I mean, Envy told me to do it, so why not?
Like, fuck, I'm glad you said that now.
You just get a letter in the mail. You have been sued in an upcoming lawsuit. Like, no!
Bro thinks he's Miles Morales just because I said something. Like, calm down, okay?
It's Jason Bourne.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that was the new update to the recent TOS. That's wild. The whole
Not
ban on simulcasting or multi-stream. No, that's fun.
Yeah, they technically do it. I mean, my advice that I give people is just freaking do it anyways. Like, even if you're already kind of thinking about switching to Kick, I mean, A, it can affect you, and B, it's hard to say this because some people's going to be like, yeah, but like 1 in 100 is still 1. It's like whatever, but it's like the chances of you multi-streaming as a small streamer and then being like, hey, what are you doing, is very, very minimal. Like right now, there's so many low-end streamers that average like 1 to 10 viewers. They don't care about them. They're not going to pop in. They're not going to say hi unless if you have some type of personal connection or you get rated by a big streamer or something. It is very minimal that corporation checks in on you and sees how you're doing. If it does, just bad luck in my opinion. But I don't really understand why people would be so afraid and be like, oh, like I can't do it now because Twitch said so. And it's like Twitch is not going to care. And if they do stoop that low, then that means that they're getting really tight on their rules and regulations. Because for so long, the whole non-copyrighted music and stuff, like I would play that all the time. And so many people would be like, oh, like you can't play that on stream. Oh, you can't say those words on stream. But nothing happens after those things get said. And I'm not saying that that's okay. I'm just saying nothing has happened. And so that would be my bit of advice, is all of these things about all these different things that people can say in voice chat, all these different types of music that people are playing, and Twitch is like, you can't do that, can't say that. I've done it for months and months and not a single thing has changed. So why would you be worried about something that's not changing? That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you, and I felt that way too. As a smaller streamer myself, it's easy to get swept up in, I guess, previous updates to terms of service till you realize that you're going to be the last in line in terms of people that are going to get hit with the hammer or even a warning, because you're not really impacting their status quo. You're not impacting their day-to-days in terms of revenue.
Yeah.
And that's just sadly a truthful, harsh review from a business standpoint.
Definitely is, and that's kind of why I do like Kick a little bit, because even though obviously they're clearly focusing around a lot of big streamers, which I would give them a slight benefit of the doubt, is because it is all recent. It's not like, XQC and Amaranth and all them people. It's not like they've been there forever, like they just got there. So that's fine. Like, I'm not upset about them talking about big streamers. But it does definitely feel like right out the gate, I've seen a lot of smaller people, and even some of my friends, even like somebody like Tony, like Stepfather Tony, like he's getting a lot of recognition because of the way that he holds himself in his streams and stuff. And he was that exact same way on Twitch and was not as credible as he is now. And it's cool to see people succeed, and it's cool to see people do that leap of faith and try something new and it end up working out. And that's just at the end of the day. If it doesn't work out, why is doing what you're already doing that's not working out, why is that a problem if two things don't work out when the one thing wasn't working out anyways? It's like, you'll never know.
True. Very, very true.
And with that, I think that'll be a good place to end this episode. Very, very insightful opinions, very great takes, a lot of good motivation. I think this was a very solid episode. Thanks so much again, Feeds, for joining us today. You are absolutely handsome. Love you to death, Unc.
Absolutely thick. Throw it back Whereas
Yeah,
one more
yeah. I
time.
mean, real quick. If you wanna,
Hashtag it's all plastic. Sorry.
real quick, if you want to like turn the webcam on or whatever, like send us out with some shaking.
Nope.
I mean,
Sorry. Nope. That's exclusively on my page that I am not releasing.
And speaking of ending on a great note, do we still want to continue our little inspirational quote for the stream or for the podcast?
Of course, that's our niche, big dog.
Hell yeah! All right. Today's inspirational quote states: Stay away from those people who try to disparage your ambitions. Small minds will always do that, but great minds will give you a feeling that you can become great too." Mark Twain.
My goat, my goat. Thanks so much again, guys, for watching this episode. We love and appreciate every single one of you who decided
Fucking
to tune
beautiful.
into us and give us your time of day. We will never take you for granted. I hope you all have a beautiful fucking day. Like and subscribe to the YouTube if you're listening to us on there.
And
Download
check
us
out
on Spotify.
feeds.
Yes, feeds. Shout out everything and anything that you want to shout out. Where can the people find you?
It's just my name. Any platform you want to look up and type in Feeds XD, I'll be there. I appreciate everybody listening.
And with that being said, I hope everybody has a good rest of their week, an amazing rest of their week. Yeah. Love you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.